Good day, my dear ones. This is a Florida non-organic navel orange. You know, you can always tell your navels. But this is a pretty standard size and sweet as honey. Now, there was a time in my life I lived on these for months and months and months, and they were this big. Organics down in Florida are amazing. If it's grown properly, they can be incredible. These are already fairly sweet, and imagine organics. They were so delicious. And when someone would say acid, you'd go, acid what? So when things are picked ripe and grown properly, fruits are just, ooh, so good. So good, so good. I wanted to read you this. This was an interesting, it was sent to Shannon by Rosalind. And it just goes to show you. And this was a letter, was first printed in Morse's Crock book. Anybody ever read Morse, M-O-R-R-I-S, Crock? Fruitarian thinker. Fruit, the Food and Medicine for Man, published in 1984. I thought actually that was published a lot earlier, but maybe not. A lot of good fruitarian thinkers out there nowadays, thank God. But when I come along, you couldn't hardly find anybody into fruitarianism. There was only one or two books you could find from the past, you know. This letter was sent by Hal A. Skinner to American Vegetarian Magazine somewhere in the 1950s or 60s, they say. So this is interesting. So this old man starts off and says, I am an Australian, a descendant of the earliest British free settlers. Interesting. I am an old man, recently made young again. Several years ago, I was in a very bad state of health. I read some of Arnold Ehret's works. I began the mucilus diet system, developing from that to an increasingly stricter fruitarian diet, and am now thriving on fruit and water exclusively. I do heavy work without weariness or exhaustion. My work in the desert demands endurance and fortitude, for conditions are hard. Associates and others look upon me as uncanny. As far as I know, there is no other person on earth who lives on fruit and water alone. Now keep in mind, this is probably going way back in the early 1900s. This is not the age for such austerities. All wise persons look upon me as a fool or a fanatic or mad. This is a part of the price a person has to pay. And this is what he was thinking way back then, going through the same thing we all go through. My body does not crave protein foods or stimulants, and evidently is perfectly nourished on fruit alone, even if the fruit is not the best quality. Interesting. I do not live a life of ease, but am a poor man, a desert dweller. Sometimes for months at a time, I am on the saddle day and night. Except for an hour or two of sleep, I may snatch laying on the ground beside my horse. Now this goes back. A few years ago, I had to give up my work and go back to the coast to die of disease, I thought. And all who knew me thought the same. But now I am back among my beloved horses, cattle, and trackless deserts. Oh, trackless deserts, more energetic and fresh than when I was a lad. Look at that. The discovery that there is something better in life than eating, and something infinitely better than the cravings, passions, lusts, frustrations, etc. that devastate and ruin the soul through wrong eating. Interesting. It is to me an astonishing revelation of the first magnitude. While I am a lonesome, solitary person, I am at the same time processor of comfort, peace, unspeakable joy, and all the precious gifts that come when one of God's human creatures returns to the biologically correct diet the great designer and maker arranged. Couldn't said it better. Thanks, Rosalind. Good stuff. But that's just there I have them. It is true. You know, you have to go through sometimes, though, moving through a world where you're used to eating all levels of food stuff, you know, from dead tissue to the animals' milks to pretty much dead beans and grains, to finally arrive at the door of the living, the fresh, the ripe, the raw. Such a difference. The cooked, acidic-forming foods are just that. They cause mucus in the body. They acidify the body. They cause pain, swelling, inflammation, tumors. All the things you experience is simply from burning wrong foods. We're so fixated on the microbe kingdom, so when we burn dirty fuel and we create all these toxic residues and the acids in the body, and then the microbes of nature come help us, we get mad at them. So we have a whole modality that likes to kill microbes and blame them for everything because they can't understand that we are frugivores. We are not omnivores. And if we were, you can't feed omnivores the things that we eat. You feed a dog the same thing. You feed a dog off your kitchen table, they get the same problems we do. All right. J. Pouch. Have you ever worked with someone who does not have their colon? Yes, we have. Once. Once, I think. I am looking for some guidance post-colonectomy. I suffered with aggressive UC, ulcerative colitis. Remember you did a video with this sweet girl that had died several times with it? You're really talking bad stuff here. But the first thing you see when you see ulcerations, you're going to say acids. Oh, you have an ulcer? Acids. Oh, you have a tumor? Acids. You have lesions? Acids. You have brain lesions? Acids. Prior to J. Pouch surgery in 2012. And your video on excessive thinness specifically spoke to me along with several others. Absolutely. And what our society doesn't get, and it's sad because it's abusive. Our society, if it doesn't understand it, becomes abusive. You notice that? But what man doesn't understand is the seriousness of excessive thinness. The seriousness of this. Because it's interstitial constipation in the interstitial spaces of the small and large bowels or intestines. But wherever you have lymphatics, which is everywhere, lymph system is everywhere the blood is. Or pretty close. And that means that everywhere in your body you can have stagnation of this system when the kidneys quit filtering. As something as simple as the lack of filtration can back up a system, and this is so serious and so eye-opening, so revolutionary, and so need to understand the vital role of sweating and the vital role of proper urination where there's filtration. When you see sediment in the urine, a medical doctor thinks immediately infection. So they've killed a lot of people over that, unfortunately, and several of ours through the years, because they were filtering and they freaked and put them on antibiotics and they died from that. One just recently. Died from antibiotic use in ICU for no reason whatsoever. Was filtering. It's just a sick thing, but it's creation. And just everything comes and goes here. Remember that. Including your bodies. They come and go. Your body's going to come and go. Don't get too used to it. That's the thing. Don't get too caught up and too serious about things in this world. And that's the problem with election and everything. People taking things way too serious. There's great people on all sides of the world. But it's vital that we maintain the freedom that is rightfully each and every one of yours, no matter what. So remember that. You will always give others the freedom that you want in your world. Yeah, this is too bad, and you can say when you have ulcerations, acid is just chewing you from the inside out. That's the sad thing about ulcerations. It isn't always a burn from the mucosa. It can be a burn from interstitial through the mucosa. And that's what all this is with the ulcerative colitis. It's a burn from the inside out. That's the seriousness of this. You can put aloe, you can put all kinds of cool, cooling, healing herbs down. But if you don't move lymph, and get these interstitial spaces hydrated, eventually going to get you. And you just be taking herbs and herbs and herbs. It's too bad that they had a colonectomy on him when you can fix this. And we presented plenty of cases to show you that we can fix this from an extremely advanced state. As you see, our sweet thing had given us a video on her journey. She's going to come down and give us some more too. I think I understand to a large degree why I still suffer and several symptoms on top of being extremely underweight. See, by them removing his colon, they did nothing. And of course, trace minerals and stuff like that are absorbed into the colon. And get this, he's got a small bowel left. He's got a small bowel left where most of his absorption takes place. And you can guess that he's not absorbing very much at all in his world. So he's not getting nutrition, he's starving. And of course, all they did was remove the colon. His lymph system is still backed up everywhere in his body, so he can still have tumors forming everywhere, ulcerations in the small bowel. I mean, it's just the world is hell. And I think he's getting this. And that's important for you guys to get that and understand the whys. And then it's a aha moment. Oh, I get that. Because there is no aha moment medically. Not until you or they get the lymphatic system and truly how it works, you're not going to have an aha moment. It's going to be, boy, I wish we could find a cure for this. Boy, I wish we could treat this. I wish we had something we could take for this. I am just completely stuck on exactly how to proceed effectively considering my altered anatomy limits, my diet, digestion process, talk about extreme bioindividuality. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You still got to do raw. You still got to do the fruits, the berries, and the melons, or the greens. You still got to do that. You just are missing a colon. I'm sure you got a nice little bag going. So you just got to do it. Don't let that stop you. You got the rest of the body, and you have to fix your kidneys. You still have all your body parts, but the colon, I take it. So you're still alive. So you've got to now just don't worry about the colon. You're just not going to have any solid stool ever, as far as I know. But that can't change what you're eating. It can't change what you're eating. See, the colon actually gets, after a while, absorbs the traces and mics, that sort of thing. And then by the time you get around, you're going around through the transverse and stuff, you're starting to suck some water out because you want formed stool, somewhat formed stool. You don't want to always poop liquids. So it's all designed effectively. Well, this gentleman will have a bag now and will have liquids always. But still alive. And you can fix the rest of your body up and have a great bioindividuality, And just so you really want to get after this. So diet, you got to change. Don't let any removal of any organ or any gland stop you from this focus. You got to do this no matter what, or you start losing the other body parts. And if you lose the small bowel, that's it. I mean, you get no way to absorb anything. So you don't have to go there. You just got to go back and fix this problem. And it's going to start with the kidneys, adrenal glands. You want to take something for the adrenals. Now, I'm doing Heal All. I don't know about Heal All. I would probably do a little Heal All mixed with 3-lung tea. Very healing. Or you can make you a bunch of the stomach tea. The stomach tea is all for acidosis of the gut. So the stomach tea might be pretty good. There's still just a little ginseng in there to get the hepatic and pancreatic. But you want to cool everybody off as much as you can from the mucosa, and then you got to go interstitially. So cypriol, marshmallow, aloe, those are all soothing to the mucosa, right? And you want to soothe that because I'm sure you're inflamed and thickened. So then you've got to go through the kidney channel, through the lymph channel to get interstitially in the wall of the small bowel. Now, as you get that inflammation back down a little bit and you can handle the GI broom, then that'll start drawing a little more on your bowel walls to hopefully draw some out of that interstitial spaces into the chambers and excrete it as much as possible. You should see a lot of mucus in your bag. And you also want to see a lot of mucus in your urine. You want to get yourself filtering. So think about the dry fast 20 hours. You missed a colon, but you got a bag instead. Don't let that stop you from getting your body healthy, my dear one. I've had a beyond exhausting, I bet. And of course your adrenals are going to be down, and that's going to be even more so. And your lymph, and your nervous system from all the surgery. So I would, hop up on my adrenals, of course, and kidneys, maybe brain and nerve a little bit, kind of get things going. You might, so you don't have any tumors, so you might want to do a little lower circulation, but you're going to have to cool some things off a little bit. Cool some things off. I'd probably stay from anything that's too acidic, things that are sweet. Maybe the subacid category would be the better category for you. And maybe even some green drinks. But you want to cool some things down. You may have to do a little applesauce with a little light cinnamon or something, do real slowly. And get this acidosis out of your body. It's the only way you'll ever have remedy. And since you're always producing acids, you've got to understand that the system that's the removal of the acids is shut down. And I know you're getting that. And you all are getting that. And isn't that a breath of fresh air? Oh, look, now I understand why we suffer. That's a big deal. That's a big deal because you've got millions of people that they don't know. They're confused. And the allopathic community keeps wanting money to keep doing research on animals and people. For what reason? We already know what works. We already can fix everything. Why you need to worry about that anymore? Could it be about the money? It would make you sick if you thought that. But, no, all right. I get you've had a hard time, my dear man, and all these, or woman, I don't even know who this is. Oh, it's Kim. Kim, oh man. Oh, honey. Oh, this is sad stuff. And this is just why. This is just another case to show you why each and every one of you that I'm reaching is important that you get this. This individual has suffered so bad that finally she had to have her bowels removed. Her colon removed. And that's where our little one was going through too. Because of the sudden onset of UC. Well, this wasn't a sudden onset. Now, I have to tell you, Kim, this was not a sudden onset, not on your life. You've been building this, and probably, I don't know your age here, but I'm kind of sensing you're not real old. This is what a lot of people are going to be going through. Tons of people are going to be going through this way. You younger guys and gals, I feel sorry for you. You don't want to walk this way. It's acids burning you from interstitially around your cells in the wall of your intestines and blowing back through the wall. Your wall thickens, ulcerative spastic pain. I mean, it's gut-wrenching. Bleeding, anemia. I mean, you just go on and on and on with this. It's a nightmare from hell to say the very least, but you don't just get it. No. See, what you guys have to realize is that this thing builds and builds and builds. So a lot of times you won't know it. You don't know it. You very rarely know you have peristalsis in the bowels until you get some real cramping. You'd feel every movement of the bowels if you did. So there's some hidden secrets. So that's some of the problems here. And a lot of times people don't realize, oh, I just got it. No, you didn't. This has been building since probably you were in your mother. And now, that's why it's so chronic. I mean, ulcerative colitis, you're at the chronic level. You just didn't get this. And of course, it's really chronic degenerative because you just tear your bowels down. Acid just chew you up. Plain and simple. Anybody want to keep Coke in their mouth more than a couple of minutes? I don't even know if you can last a couple of minutes. if you didn't have a alkaline response in your mouth and you were just holding Coke in your mouth, might not be too good. You might end up with ulcers all in your mouth from it. Just like that. Same thing. Acids ulcerate, destroy. And so you have to cool this down. And the only thing that cools down an acid is the other side of chemistry. Medical doctors haven't learned that. So what they do is acid on top of acid. That's why a lot of people don't come out of it. Millions die each year from that. Millions and millions and millions and millions others are literally ripped apart internally by this. Living a life of pain and hell because they were stupid, thinking that you'll give a chemo, an acid, on top of an acid condition, which only exacerbates the condition. So it's like they're even wrong in chemistry. Freaky, scary. But when you look at the one world order, you look at all that, you start to realize we've got a killing machine, maybe for some bigger reasons. I know conspiracy theories, but you got to start thinking outside of the box. Everybody's just been led and led around and by the governments and stuff, and pretty soon now they're looking at a world where there's freedom, and they're freaking and crying and running from it. A world of freedom now. Oh, can I open my door and look out into the sun and the light? Or am I afraid of the light? Don't ever be afraid of the light. It's where you find God, remember? All right, and not knowing about a functional healing approach until it was automatically too late. That's too bad, too. I feel for you because we could have saved your butt. That, or your colon. Your butt. My health experiences have been extremely overwhelming, but I understand that one. And I've run on a lot of cases, a lot of ulcerative colitis cases in my world. Remember, I've had 40-some years sitting here, and I've saved every one of them that I know of. I didn't say anything was a fun experience, but you'll save yourself and get out of this extreme. I mean, you can imagine, have you ever had extreme gas and pain and spasms in the bowel? Cramping? Yeah. Yep. My health perspective, and I know having a much better quality of life is very possible if I could figure out how my body might be operating. Oh, you can figure, yeah, you'll get yourself out of this. You got to detox yourself. I mean, that's what detoxification really is about the lymphatic system and the retention of acids and the removal of these and heavy metals and neurotoxins and things. So it's not difficult, man. It's just focused. You just got to change your focus. Get on the raw and get focused. And raw is tough. I'm looking for guidance and support in the best way to proceed and heal the best I can at this point. Any ideas? Absolutely, Kim. Picks you right up. You could have a well life. Look at the video that we shot. Here, the other day. Hey, Dr. Pete, thanks for the letter. Thanks for the Christmas. It's a nice chiropractor. He was in our classes. Got a nice chiropractor there. Got a lot of good chiropractors out there. I grant you have a lot of bad ones, but you have a lot of bad naturopaths too. You have a lot of bad everything out there, but you have good too. So you just look for the good. But if I can get you guys knowledged up, then you'll have the appropriate questions to ask, so then you'll know whether they're good or bad. If you don't know the questions he asked, then you don't know, see? That's why a lot of you are now testing your medical doctors, finding out the truth here and finding, whoa, they don't know, do they? A lot of you are finding that out. Some with good responses, some kicking you out of their office. Hair loss and regrowth. Richard, hey Richard. Hi, Dr. Morse. I'm a big fan. I started watching your videos whenever I have enough time. Some of your videos are very long, I know. Well, just one part of them. They are long, and I don't have the time just to run in and do a quick one and run out. I got so many things going on that, and I got the time. I just sit down and do them. So I'm sorry about that. Can you do a compact short video on hair loss and regrowth, please? I'm 28. Well, this is going to be a short video because I got to leave here in a minute. So he's 28 years young, 28. You know, look at all the young people in their 20s with balding. Can't have it. And again, going back to what this, all you got to understand is look at chemotherapy and look what happens. Look what takes off hair in chemotherapy, right? Excuse me. Now ask yourself, what chemistry, what side of chemistry is chemotherapy on? And that's going to pull you into the acid side every time. So it's acids, either your own metabolitic acids or you're sucking down chemo of some sort or you're smoking or whatever. You're bringing acids into your body at a rate your body can't deal with, and it's breaking down the tissues, whether it's hair follicles, whether it's adrenal glands, whether it's thyroids. It don't matter. When you see hair loss, you also have to think that it's also chewing on your brain. I'm dead serious about this. And early Alzheimer's and dementia. This is what we're seeing. But of course you would, because this is the beginning of stages of the plaquing of proteins. Call it amyloid plaque if you want. Who cares what you call it? These are proteins plaquing. These are acids that are not getting out of the body that are plaquing. And the lymph system is a system that deals with this. And this is what you have to always go by. You want your hair back, you got to correct your problem. And your problem is your lymph system head area. And I'll tell you, the lymphatic system, I still am going back and I want to learn a lot more about this, and I want to see what they've learned about this. Because she's suggesting that the spinal fluid is involved in this. Now, I would submit that the lymphatic would be more brain since the spinal fluid is involved, and the lymphatic system be more scalp. But it could be the other way around. Either way, I think it'd be important to make sure that you go to a chiropractor and get your back straight. That's one thing. It's always good to have your spine straight and the flow of energy out of the head. Right? Now, upper circumbrain and nerve. Upper circulation is what we use to get hair growth. But in reality, that stimulates hair growth because we're bringing in good chemistry, alkaline chemistry, removing acids, and of course, and then you're getting repair and rebuilding. And it'll happen to everybody. We've had plenty of YouTubers get their hair back, and the ladies too. But if you're working on this and you're not getting your hair back, get more serious. Because I'm going to tell you, I take balding very seriously. It isn't a joke in my world. You come in my office and I look and I see balding, I'm going to be talking to you about this, because later on down the world, somebody is going to be putting you in a nursing home or worse. That's why you want to deal with this now. Upper circumbrain and nerve, perfect for a 28-year-old. Really get you up there really awake and loaded and get your hair growing. But you, at the same time, you got to go after GI tract. Remember, that sits right on top of your GI tract. And you got to go after kidneys and adrenal glands and the lymphatic system. If you don't go after the lymphatic system and get yourself filtering and drained, how are you going to get hair back? If you don't remove what's taking it off, well, how would you get it back? See, you have to understand that everything is guided, directed, and swims in and lives in the world of chemistry. And there's only two sides to it. Just like there's only two sides to everything, really, basically. So interesting, you know. So Richard, you can knock this out the park, but you want to take a look at this, get a picture of your eyes, take a look at your head, look at your skin, take a look at your lymph system, your bowels, and all this. Go pee in a jar too, Richard. Go get your mason jar and pee in it. You got filtration? Is it clear? You don't want to be clear. You want to get this lymph moving, and then you'll see everything. But this is true with livers. This is true with lungs. This is true with muscle. This is true with bone. This is true with every tissue in the body. You'll lose it under the acid sky, and you regain it under the base sky. Those are the only two factors you have to work with. Better hope that's true, because it's the only two sides of chemistry you got. pH is everything to your experience, and I've said this for years and years. Yeah, this is a little warm. It's a little cold out there. Well, it's in the 60s this morning, but for Florida, I feel my hair is thinning and would really like to stop it and reverse it. Oh, at least it's just thinning. Think of all the guys at 28 and gals, but particularly guys at 28 that's balding. Well, my dad had it. Yeah. Guess what else he had? A very backed up lymphatic system. So you also have that. You have the kidney weakness, you have the adrenal weakness, you have the hair follicle weakness, you have all of this. Can you rebuild it? Absolutely. Absolutely. God didn't stick you out here in hell and say, hey, I'm taking the key, have fun. No, you have the key. You are the key, aren't you? Absolutely. Y'all remember that. You're the very key that unlocks the doors to the heavens. Not externally. You can't take a car and go find the key to God. You can't go take a spaceship and find the worlds of God. You'll be going forever. A little secret. You must go in to get out. That's why there's prayer, there's meditation, there's contemplation, there's solitude. Because in those dark recesses of the alone state, where only you are, everything else is too. Everything else is too. All right, I'm living a 95% fruitarian diet. Yeah, baby. Yeah. For the last 1 month, thanks to you and Janie Record from the Natural Way of Healing. Absolutely. Go, Janie. But any other information on how to stop myself going bald would be much appreciated. Hope you're back from your soon. Okay. Richard, upper circ, brain and nerve, butt, lymph, move thy lymph. Get yourself filtering. Go after your body. Get a picture of your eyes. There's where the story is told. The story is told in the eyes. Remember that? And see how much lymph you got? What's the state of your kidneys? You see lesions there, lacunas or something? What's going on there? What's your adrenals look like? What this look like up here? Because you guys that are getting thinning of hair and balding, guys and gals, cholesterol plaquing coming. All goes. Because it's acidosis. The body's trying to defend. The body doesn't like to lose tissue, does it? No. So it's going to try to protect itself. So what's the protection? Base. Cholesterol, calcium. What do you always see? Cholesterol or calcifications. Very simple. Easy to understand that it develops under the acid sky, and under the base sky you can fix it. How cool. How simple. How beautiful. And then you can go on and have a life. Like this old man says, why are we always fixated around food? There's so much more to life than the things you eat. You only eat part of the time, and then you're off and living life. Problem is, we're not satisfied with what we eat. We're always hungry for more and more and more. Not when you're a fruitarian, you're not. You're always satisfied. I was always satisfied. I like to eat, but I was always satisfied. Lisa, that's an interesting way. L-E-E-S-A. Lisa Flower. I like that last name. I love flowers. This is Lisa. Hi, Lisa. I like how you spelled that. Excuse me, guys. I've been doing some detoxing on some fruit. This kind of fruit. I was referred to view some of your videos or even purchase a book if needed today while visiting a local herbal shop. That's pretty cool. I love herb shops. I love herb shops. I created a beautiful herb shop, sold it to my sister. Huge thing, and then she even made it bigger. She made it huge. It was just to go in, the smell, and oh, it was like you were being massaged with love. You know, this herbs, here, let me help you. Let me help you do this. Let me help you do that. Okay. We got to start respecting and loving those things of nature that's here to embrace us and help us. And what cool stuff instead of destroying it. Man. Man meaning man and woman. I was diagnosed with acid reflux 12 years ago. Since then, I have been diagnosed with GERD and now erosive esophagitis. Oh, damn. The symptoms are little to none after a throat. Oh, they did it to you, huh? All right, get this. The symptoms are little to none after a throat lengthening about 6 years ago. So, now realize that you can see two things happening under the acid sky. You can see things swell, and that's generally with edema. But acids chew and break down, so you can see things shrink up too and atrophy away, like ovaries and things like that. So you got two things you can witness with the acid sky: swelling and closing off, or atrophy and decay. Both will take place at the same time too. So isn't it ridiculous that they have to go in and stretch and open up the esophagus instead of simply cleaning the acids out by moving the lymph system properly? I'm just saying. I don't vomit or experience discomfort from heartburn or gas anymore. Well, that's good. Oh, God. Look what they put you through. I have made changes in my diet from time purchased digestive enzymes or taken herbal remedies. Whatever that. Although I don't experience pain much, the odor from my mouth has consumed my life for years. It doesn't go away. It's embarrassing. What can I do to cure this? You guys are writing in with some extremely good stuff and important stuff. I don't know how to tell you. This is good. Now listen. She's smelling necroticism. And it could be her own. This is serious stuff, guys. She could be smelling her own decay in her own throat, her own esophagus, because they have done nothing to help her, nothing to stop this. They've just stretched her esophagus. Again, we're back. Now, this is interesting how this rocks, because we're back to the same thing as ulcerative colitis, except instead of down there, it's up here. Same thing. Different tissue, same problem. And the same outcome. It can atrophy and decay your whole voice box, esophagus, trachea. I mean, this is serious stuff here. And it's all the way through your lining probably. This is interstitial. This isn't like, there's three types of GERD. We've talked about this quite a bit. There is the true acid reflux, which simply means that you ate a protein, you invoked hydrochloric acid with a little around 2 pH, and you didn't have the bicarbonate to neutralize it, and you just sat there and blew back, and maybe your peristalsis was off, your sphincter was slow to open, all the other things that can be involved with this. Can't pull your pH duodenally up to 8 or 7, so you just burn, and it blows back. That's true acid reflux in my opinion. Then you have the sulfur acid reflux, where you have sulfur all in your gut from the use of antibiotics or from your mother who used antibiotics. That changed the blue eye orange, remember all that? Now that's a gassy, bloaty acid experience too. The worst and the most scariest is what this gentleman, Richard, went through with ulcerative colitis, where they had to remove the colon. This is interstitial lymphatic constipation. And that's where most people have the problem, extremely serious, and needs to be dealt with like yesterday instead of tomorrow. Very serious stuff here. And she's smelling probably her own decay of her own body. Not good. They don't know how to fix stuff like that. You've got to get on kidneys and adrenals. I don't know if I have a phone number here to call you. I don't. But you really got to fix this one, honey, because this isn't good. And you could have impacted decayed matter in your gut all over the place. So you want to get on our detox program. I would sign up for a counselor to help you at least for a month or two. I mean, that's nothing in money. We're not expensive. We're God people. And get your feet on the path, or have me write you a protocol, or do something. But you want to get in the stomach tea. You want to start alkalizing yourself. You want to get on fruits, berries, and melons. You want to start moving the kidneys, get your lymph moving. Oh no, you're in trouble. And you want to get your bowels cleaned up. Oh yeah. Oh no. And this person could have, along with this, remember, this is just part of the same long canal. Remember that? This is a tree with all the branches off of it. This is a big tree, and your whole tree's down and going right up into your head. Oh no, this is all serious stuff. This isn't stuff to play around, but this is all serious stuff, guys. Your lives are at stake. And your happiness and your joy are at stake. So you want to fix these things, no matter how disciplined you have to get. Who cares? You can always chill out later. But you want to fix this sort of stuff. This isn't good. Let's say you got to fix this, honey. You want to go after your GI tract and your kidneys and adrenals at the very least, and take off after this, because I've seen this before lots and lots of times. It's all over the place, and they don't know how to fix this, and the outcome isn't good. So you want to fix this now. I hope I got my point across. Red skin syndrome. Alrighty. This is Victoria, another female. Look at this. I have a question. If you come across with any patients with red skin syndrome, topical steroid withdrawal. Typical steroid withdrawal. Oh, that's sad stuff. You know, the word out there, don't monkey with steroids. You know, in a stat need, let's say you had an injury to the spine or something, sure. No question. Pop them some steroids and see if we can keep them from being paralyzed. No question. And honk on the lymph system. You know, there's so many ways in the emergency room that you can deal with stuff like this that they don't deal with. And remember about acids. An ER really needs to understand acidosis and all that implies. The cases we're reading here, these are great cases for medical students if they would learn to use botanicals instead of pharmaceuticals and learn what's up really. You learn what's up really, and we could change the world like nobody's business. But remember, the globalization that all these movie stars and everybody wants doesn't allow for that. It allows for only 500 million people on the planet. This is the one world order. It's very real. They've been existing under the Trilateral Commission banner, the Club of Rome banner. And just remember, this is all about stuff like this. So they want you to go through this. As much as you don't want to believe another human could take that, how many million of people are on this planet? And they make no bones anymore about it. Too many people know about it, so they don't care anymore. And they did have power here greatly. They did. But just remember it. You got to, as a free spirit, as a being coming out of the God world, don't you want to have fun on this rock and play a little bit? Or do you want to salute and put a quarter in the slot every time you have to go to the bathroom? And make sure you write in your name and address and date that you went. Alright, so steroids, first of all, there's only one way to get rid of using any type of chemistry in the body, and that's detoxification. And that is going to the other world of chemistry, going to the other side. And the sad thing is most steroids that are anti-inflammatories are base, and they use a lot of acid steroids. Of course, your adrenals are always going to get slammed, and that's the problem. And then when you stop the steroids, guess what? It's like a mule kicked you in the gut. No. We've got to learn and teach others how to stay away from this. You want to use a steroid, use raw foods and alkaline chemistry. That's a steroid. Steroids are, most steroids, there's acid steroids. Estrogen is a steroid. But your base steroids are your cortisols, your progesterones. Those neutralize acids and keep acid steroids in check. Like progesterone keeps estrogen in check. You run low in progesterone, estrogen as the acid stamps up and starts to burn you. And then the opposite, too much progesterone, you can dry out too. All right. So, my daughter, 3 years after stopping using topical steroid cream, still itching and inflamed. That's because you didn't fit. You know by now, by looking at these videos, that you suppressed her problem with the steroid. She's 3 years old. She's got kidney failure. She's not in where you're breaking down, but where she's not filtering. And this is important, that you fix your little baby's kidneys and adrenals and her lymph system so she doesn't have this problem. Because the only way you're going to get your babies out of harm is fix the lymphatic system in them. And this is where the bulk of these children are highly genetically compromised. I mean, we're seeing this every day in our face, how bad genetics are right now. Not the same world. So you can't treat your children like you treated yourself, and the same thing with your parents. No, everything's getting worse. We have to get more focused. Now, she probably is full of fungus, I'm telling you. That's why the itching. So you're going to have to give her some Parasite M or some antifungal. Be careful with that. And you have to move her lymph system. That poor little thing's suffering bad here. And you want to clean her, so she should be on fruits anyway. Fruits, berries, and melons. And get her detox. And her skin could look worse a little bit, remember, on detox, because you only have the skin and the kidneys to eliminate, except through any other hole that your body's going to ooze this nasty stuff out of. It's like that lady smelling necroticism. That's what you smell in tumors. Her tissues being broken down. That's not good. Okay, besides that, liver is overloaded by any other ideas. Oh, yeah, you're going to put your baby on a detox. You're asking me, I'm going to put your baby on a detox. It's only little drops. So you're going to go after her. You're going to go after her liver. You're going to go after her kidneys, her adrenal glands. You're going to go after your child and get her well. And I've got it up in protocols. You can give her the Fab 4 or 5. Call in here. They'll be glad to get your feet put on the right path. And of course, you're going to have to fix her adrenals because you've had her on steroids. So now that shot her adrenals, which just exacerbates the train going down the track. It just makes it going faster, 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 faster. Because now you just shut down the very thing that helps her to eliminate. You didn't know better. You expect them to know better, but they don't. They've had all these years in the medical world to learn by their mistakes, and they haven't learned at all. They keep slamming people that are helping others, and then keep going down that same idiocy that they're going down. I don't know what to say about it. You would recommend to speed up removal of these potent drugs on blood vessels. Thank you, and God bless Victoria. Wow. I didn't mean to insult you, sweetheart, but you've got to understand what you don't do and what you don't do. This is a medical doctor. Okay? So, I don't mean to insult you, but you've got to understand what you do and don't do to your kids. And when it's your own kid, it's in your face. And you got to learn about the lymphatic system. You were never taught about the lymphatic system, and neither was anybody else on the planet. So it's nobody's fault. But we got to start opening up to the kidneys and the adrenals and that focus and the difference between filtration. Let me show you how to take care of your 3-year-old and how to pull them out of this. So I would get hooked up to one of the practitioners. Get hooked to Patty. She teaches you guys A and P, or did. But it's easy to get these children out of problem. But the degree of the genetics is what's concernful. The degree of the genetics in the kidneys or in the adrenal glands, very serious stuff. And it's when it's your own kid you start pulling the panic button. It's easy to work on other people's kids until it's yours. Same thing with me and my dogs and stuff. If it's anybody else's dogs, I can tell you what to do, no problem. But when it's yours, it's like, oh. But this child is in trouble. And the very lymph system, it's just chewing her up. This little baby's just chewing this baby up. It's what's going on inside. And of course, we live in a world of treatment-based thinking. And medical doctors have just thrived in that. Can't do it anymore. We have chronic level problems. You can't treat chronic level problems anymore. You've got to go reverse how they got there. And understand that. Understand what acids do, how it lowers and breaks down the function of tissue, and how that's genetically passed, and it just keeps on going. See, there's the other component we talked about in terms of food, and that is the electromagnetic, the consciousness of it. Of course, the chemistry also speaks of that as well, but not as high. Everything has a degree of intelligence. I mean, if we tear a piece of food all the way down to the atomic structure and then the subatomic structures, still going to find awareness. Sorry. There's nothing that, when you come out of the infinite awareness, everything's going to have awareness because it comes out of awareness. Hard to describe. Hard to describe. But easy if you look at everything as a house. Even God's world is a house. Your body is a house. And you've got all these different rooms in the house. That's your cells. So basically you have organs and you have glands. The glands control the organs. The glands are the bosses. Those are the endocrine glands. They're also equivalent to the chakras. And they also relate to the subtle bodies. A lot of people that can't think etherically or past this world don't understand that the brain isn't the mind. That the brain is just a physical organism, but it relates to the mind. Just like your adrenals relates to the astral or emotional worlds. And so forth and so on. Solar plexus, the causal world. This is why it cause, and this is the autonomic, the worker, the cause. Past to future. That's the time track, they call it in spirituality, where you see the past, present, what they call the past, present, and future. The present is really the pure consciousness of it all. And so all these rooms are hooked with pipes and wires, right? I've built a lot of homes in my time. And once I get the walls up, now I go ahead and put the plumbing, in the ground or any wires. Pipes and wires go in the ground first, then we pour a slab over them. And then we run the pipes and wires all through the rooms, right? Because we want to turn on the light. We want to turn on, we want to give energy to the room, right? And we want to bring nutrition into the house. Water pipes. You could just say that's the kitchen. So the water pipes, the blood vessels. So now you have vessels all over the place, bringing in kitchen. Wait a minute. We just don't bring in water pipes, do we? No, a bigger part of the house. Water pipes are just simple, right? Just water pipe. You have one water pipe to the hot water heater, then you pick up another water pipe to run hot water. So you only have two pipes. Look at the sewer system. Look at your sewer system in the house with the traps, all the delicate sewer system. Everything has to flow right. Everything has to be just right. Water, you have pressure, not the sewer system. Think of that. They say everything is reflective in the worlds of God. So think about that in your house, physical house. All your different rooms, and then you have pipes and wires. What's your wires? Your nervous system, your electrical department. Without the electrical department, nothing turns on. See? So that's simple. So it's easy to teach your children that your body's like a house. And you've got electrical wires in there, you've got water pipes or blood vessels, that's your kitchen pipes, and then you have a sewer system. The sewer system is where man fails. They're the most ignorant on that system, and you can't be any longer. Because man is, and that's why it's being brought out at the end. God does it, I don't know what, right at that. It's like curving certain things right at the last minute. Loves that. I don't know why. I hate that. But learning about your lymphatic system and the fact that the kidneys and adrenals are your main players to that system, that if you don't filter, you're in trouble. And we prove this, and prove this through guys have proved this to the medical community. Now, if they can catch this, of course it means they'll have to get into the raw, they'll have to get into regenerative detoxification, but it'll change the outcome and no more having to carry all this liability, because instead of killing and hurting people, everybody's getting better. Isn't that better? Because there's a lot of good medical doctors out there with great hearts. They're just lost. So, you want to call me, Victoria, I'll help you personally with that one, with your daughter here. But you have to call in and let them know who you are. But you want to save your child because this isn't good. You know, remember, you have to rebuild the adrenal glands, not only from the genetic past, no, but from the steroid use. And get that going, because remember, we're not talking about steroid when we could be, because we just don't know. Well, you're definitely talking about neurotransmitters. And there again, if you want your child to accelerate in their ability to comprehend and all of this, you want good adrenal glands and you want a good nervous system. So this is the time to get your genetics out of your children, is when they're small. It's a beautiful time to do this. The foods are energetic and conscious, and they will do this. They'll work this out of them. They will. Because you have to understand how you create genetic weaknesses to then learn how you create genetic strengths. Your duality here, you're not just on one side. No, you have duality, you're on two sides. So where you have decay and atrophy and death, you have rebuilding and life. You don't feel down with that. We're just now learning how you have vitality and life. I've known it for 40-some years. Put it back in my body years ago. It's taken this many years to get here. Whew. Damn. And still people fight over it. Still people fight over getting well. It's like, are you kidding? Whew. Getting hot. Of course, nobody uses heat around here, so all our offices are at 70 degrees, I think. My name is Brian. Hi, Brian. Thanks for everything that you do every day. Inspiration for me. I truly love you, Brian. Thanks, my friend. I love you for that. Thanks. Makes me feel good. Because, you know, there's just so much negativity in this world. It's nice to have people with... You know, you always want to surround yourself with like-minded people and happy people. Because it's just, you know, this world is tough. And a lot of people are suffering in so many ways. But it's a good way to get rid of your karma right now. It's a good way to learn spirituality. And the answers are here for us. So it's a good turning point in your journey at this planet right now to develop your ability to learn a lot more about yourself and to go way beyond this, but also how to fix the human body. And for the next inhabitants, you have to realize this is a touch-and-go planet. And you're only here a short time. How are you leaving it? And that's what man has to understand. We're leaving this place in a shithouse mess. And so now our kids have to pay for debts and stuff like that. And it's like, no, borrowing more and spending more isn't the answer, Dims. You don't borrow more and spend more. No. So I feel sorry for the children and the genetics. Oh my God. But that makes each of us have to learn to get on our toes how we fix our children and the people of the planet. And it's not difficult, but it means a drastic change in understanding of the type of foods that man has to burn and that he's designed for. Look at that cowboy. This is a cowboy out back Australia. And there's some tough times as a cowboy. Let me tell you, everything isn't always riding in a saddle and everything is not work. Ranching and farming is tough business. A lot of hard work. And this guy's an old man. And Arnold Ehret made that difference. So I would like each and every one of you to be an Arnold Ehret. Look at just this man read Arnold Ehret's book and changed his whole life into something beautiful. Pain-free, and he probably lived to be 150. Because what's going to kill him? It's acidosis that kills us, guys. So what's going to kill you if you know how to eat properly and you keep everything moving? You keep a machine cleaned with proper fuel and eliminating of the combusted byproducts, and you got a motor that basically can run, what, 1 million miles? You got some Toyotas out there with 1 million miles on them. I've been in Texas a lot, and South Texas and some of these oil fields, you've got these guys driving like me a 250 Ford or something. That's their personal truck, and they're running and beating the heck out of these little Toyotas. And the bodies are falling off, but that engine just keeps on going. They got 1 million miles, 500,000 miles on them. Says a lot for building things properly too, doesn't it? The same with your body. You keep all the residues. It's the residues. It's the byproducts that build up in the body that blows back on you. You keep everything moving. You keep a lake with a fresh in and a fresh out, and you'll never have stagnation. But lose the out. And what do you get? Swelling of a lake. If you have water coming into a lake and it loses its ability to filter it out, the lake keeps getting bigger, right? And then overflowing its dams. Well, what happens in the body when you have stagnation? Edema. Water starts building up and you start swelling up, right? And everything starts turning red because you're acidic. Acids are red, burning, heat producing, and decaying. Agglomerating. And of course, in chemistry, the famous word we use is corrosive. So, when you see that in your patients or in your friends, why are we jumping on the alkaline side of the fence? It's acidosis. We're seeing acidosis everywhere we're turning. We're ignoring that. Can't ignore that, pharmaceutical worlds, or do you have another agenda? Just saying. Something's awful strange here. Now, I had a question about water. A lot of people in the raw community say you don't need it when raw fruitarian because the true consciousness and hydration comes within the monofruits and herbs themselves without water. While water hinders detoxification, also why dry fasting is better. Fasting than water fasting is healing properties, etc. Or does it come to the question of which kind of water you're drinking? Since talking consciousness, spring, RO, distill, tea, infusion, and to pick wisely which one to use at a time during detoxification, thanks and aloha from Hawaii. Bigfoot, last night, new show from Hawaii. Looking for the little people. They were looking for the little people in Hawaii. And they went way up. I can't remember. I was busy doing things, but I was trying to kind of catch it a little bit. Bigfoot's new season started out with Hawaii. Pretty. Well, I share both sides. I've never been a fruitarian all my life to tell you that. I get by reading the old guy, he does drink some water. I go back to when I was exclusively a fruitarian. That's all I was. I don't believe I had much water at all. Because you are correct, the fruits are full of water. Energized, electrical, water. And not just energized, mineralized, nutritionalized water. But it's not real water. It's kind of like herbs. You distill it for a month, you've got something that's not water anymore. You've got something that's powered up. And remember, water is the universal solvent. Remember, we wash our hands. It's a universal solvent. That's why we see edemic changes, or we hold water trying to get things broken up. It is the one osmosis that goes against the grain. In other words, you're pulling water osmotically into a high density area from a lower density area, which is interesting. Generally, it's diffusion the other way around, where the highly dense areas are moving into the lower dense areas, kind of like ionization, kind of like. But it's enough to say that I think water is a proponent that man will always have and need. I think that the more raw you are, the less you drink of it, of course. Now, some of us have habits that are acidic, of course. Overthinking is acidic. You know, there's a lot of things that are acidic that doesn't relate to just eating. You know, thinking can be acidic. The wrong thinking, very acidic. Anger is acidic. Unhappiness is acidic. All of these things can be acidic. So, that's why all of this is kind of important to work on and be happy. It's hard to be happy when you're in pain and acidic, that's for sure. But you've got to try to pull back from your bodies and realize you're not your bodies. You're only using them. And you got to get happy outside of that body. because you're going to be leaving it one of these days here back on this planet. But I used to like distilled water, and in my book I put a lot about distilled water. You remember I come up through the natural hygienic people, Shelton's, the T.C. Fry's, the Paul Bregg's, the Carringtons, Arnold Ehret's. I come about through these people. So I also have a look of distilled water from them because they taught me somewhat. But I don't anymore because, to be honest with you, unless you have a distiller, sometimes distilled water crosses plastic. And even if it doesn't, I'll give you an idea. I ran RO at the whole house RO system for, I want to say 6-7 years now. And ecology-wise, I just couldn't do it anymore. I'm burning 7 gallons of water to get 1 or 2 gallons of good water. So you're using up 7 gallons of water just to get 1 or 2 gallons of good water. And even though it's going back into the ground, I still didn't feel good about that. So I went to a softener, but then you got some salt, and I'm trying to get the salt out, but it's really impossible. But now I got all kinds of crap in my faucets. So I'm trying to figure out, and so is the well guy, whether the RO water actually broke down some of the PVC plastic, because it does look like plastic. It doesn't look like metals. So, I mean, there's all types of things you get into in doing this. I have been pushing the Aquapana water because it's a good spring mountain water. It's up near the Himalaya or the Alps. I've been by their plant. I'm sorry. This was Italian water. I've been by what's the water from France up in the Alps? It's not coming to me, but they put all their stuff in plastic, though. If you're using a high-grade plastic and your water's full of chemistry, you're not going to leach much. But the less or the more deficient your water is of chemistry, the more it has the potential to leach from plastic. And you never want RO or distilled water in plastic. And that's what's concerning me about now burning RO water or using RO water so long through the PVC pipes. Scary. Of course, never use any of that to drink, but still you get it on your skin and stuff. So everything has its problems. I am too of the firm believer, the more of this you eat, the less you need anything to drink. Because you're naturally full of water. So I agree with that. And it's possible to drink very rarely. Mm-hmm. But I like a robust spring water that's been energized, because think about this. Think about how acidic man is right now. And the first thing we're trying to do is hydration, because hydration will break down agglomulation. Agglomulation is where everything starts sticking together from dehydration, which is an end result of acidosis. You don't have electrons to pull because you're constantly consuming acid-forming foods, which are electron or electrolyte deficient, or has already had a form of ionation during the processing. And now you have agglomulation where everything sticks together, and then you start seeing, of course, tumors and hardening and swelling and things like this with all this. So you just reverse that. You have to go to the base side of chemistry. Well, you have to look at that from the water source as well. And I think that because we're so acidic nowadays, that a little bit of alkaline mountain water is good, and energetic is good for the bowels. Good stimulant for the bowels. Real good. So I don't know. But that's kind of my thought on that. But this is where we're all going. And I tell you, I get a feel for what you're saying in your question here. And it feels good to see communities of raw foodists out there and fruitarians developing out there. Just, my heart is pounding hard, because this is a good thing. This planet needs it so bad. And of course, this opens your spiritual doors too. And that is where man's hurting bad. You don't kill each other in the 21st century, especially blowing up innocent women and children. If you got a problem, take it out back. I gotta go here in a minute, so let me read one more, then we can get these up. Fungal acne issues. Oh. This is from MZA Box. Let's see, what is your name? Best regards. Mohammed. Hey, Mohammed. Okay. You know, when you see skin and you have heavy fungus, know immediately that your adrenal glands are involved with the fungal side of this and your kidneys. I don't care where it's at on your body. It can be on your toes or the back of your head. But your kidney and your adrenal glands are always involved in this. Now, why? Because they control the lymphatic system. They control the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system, of course, is your sewer system. And you know, it's just like this lady that says she's tasting necroticism. She can taste foul, you know, like rotten meat. See, so the scary thing is you have a huge sewer system that is everywhere, in your teeth, in your bones. I mean, literally miles everywhere, in your ears. And its job is to remove waste. Now, if you want to know where most of the microbes are in nature, you're not going to find them so much in the kitchen, in your foods. You're going to find them in the sewer system, because that's their job. So people shouldn't be weirded out when they see a lot of fungus in the body, because a couple of things. First, their adrenal glands are down. This is common world over. We eat starches, so that's complex sugar. The body can't deal with that much carbon. So with weak adrenal glands, who are responsible for initially dealing with metabolism of sugar, that's an override. So that's difficult. Well, then that breeds fermentation. And of course, then you're going to breed the fungus. That's going to bring the fungus in. So you've got that, and then you've got carbon fermenting in the body. Okay, you've got all kinds of stuff going on, malabsorption. You've got all levels of this throughout the body, and you're going to promote fungus among us. So you can take Parasite M, like I said, dropper and a half, 3-4 times a day for a couple of months. But reality is, clean your sewer system up. And go after those kidneys and adrenals and the lymphatic system. Clean up the bowels. You know, we have to clean ourselves up, because, I'll give you an example. When your body burns this, it's much different than when it burns a piece of steak. Totally different chemistry. Totally different chemical residues are left behind in this process of breaking these two different foods down. This is base forming, this is acid forming. This pulls calcium out of the body, this gives calcium to the body. This dehydrates and agglomerates the body, this rehydrates and gets things moving. Creates fluidity. Makes blood nice. Thickens blood, if you could use that word. So these live sticky, stinky, dirty residues in the body, acids and the like. Cleans the acids out. Big difference. Big difference in the type of fuel you burn. Always, 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 always. Nobody burns diesel in a gasoline engine, and I have a diesel truck, and I don't want to ever put gas in it. And that's what we're doing. For me to put gasoline in my diesel truck is like a human eating meat. It doesn't fit vibrationally or any other way. And it's of the wrong chemical nature, and it actually leaches calcium out of us and makes us older and wrinkled. Look at all the Eskimos with high protein diets, so wrinkled up. Look at some of the islanders. Snap, crackle, and no pop. Incredible. So, Mohammed, you gotta get on the fruits and the berries and the melons. You got to get up there and get this detox. Remember, your face could look a little worse, and some of your body can look a little worse while you're doing this. You can't get upset because you're now kicking everything out of the house. Everything's coming out of the house. Your body's a house. You're kicking all these acids out of the house. Well, skin's the way things go out. And, of course, kidneys and stools, the way things go out. So those things are increased a little bit. We don't want you to have excessive bowel movements, but you need 1 or 2 a day. Good day. I'd like to thank you for your great YouTube video. Thank you, Mohammed. Doctor, I am Mohammed. I am from Kuwait. I love Kuwait. Kuwait's a cool place. You know, you guys are... I've been suffering from a local doctor diagnosed as fungal acne. I am not sure he's diagnosed as correct or incorrect. It don't matter. It's still acids in the body there, and I'm sure there's fungus involved too. I mean, it just comes with the thing. So that's easy, all easy to clean out, my friend. However, I am attaching for you my acne picture. Hopefully you can help me. Absolutely, my dear one. Absolutely, my friend. Easy do. I can't see enough to see anything else that might be wrong with you, though. I can't see anything else. But you take care of yourself. Easy to get that out of you. Just strict up on the diet. I got to leave. I'll be back. I'll be back. But I'm going to make these as short. Try to keep them short. But someday I might just come in here and do an 8-hour one just to knock the... Oh my God, there's so much here. I'm a 32-year-old suffering from excessive hair loss after pregnancy. It just... Oh my gosh, there's so many people in trouble, isn't there? You know, you guys are so important to this world and helping all these people in trouble. You know that, don't you, by now? Okay. I love you guys. Keep it up. You guys are really, really doing some good work out there. We're in a new year, an exciting new year. We got to learn more respect and love each other. I mean, all these people fighting over elections and everything else, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You know, you can't be calling people names and stuff like that. You sit back and watch what happens. Remember, this isn't your world. This isn't my world. This world, we you know, yes, it's all one. But you just sit back and watch. And your life will be directed and taken over. Things will be brought to you. Everything will be taken care of. You'll be shocked. If you just step back, stop creating for a while. Don't want anything for a while. And, you know, stop thinking, excuse me, got to get this out of here. Thank you. Get this out of here. Stop thinking. And just watch. There's a divine hand that guides. And it's still guiding you. And you just watch. It's so much fun to watch. And enjoy the ride. Because it's a beautiful one. And get yourself out of trouble, guys. And work on it. Have fun working on it. Make this year a fun year for yourselves. There's no sense in being upset and depressed and unhappy. I know we got bodies that are hurting. But we got to try to pull ourselves away from those, fix those, and get ourselves nestled in to a level that we're comfortable with in our awareness, that we see more things, know more things. Even for some of you to learn out-of-body traveling. And all that is just moving your attention away from your physical body somewhere else. That's all that is. It feels like you're traveling. Fun stuff. And you young ones, keep up your diet no matter what your classmates say. You want fruits, berries, and melons. Even your school teachers need to learn the proper way to feed children and young people. Some of these schools have milk. So all you can have is milk for after class or this. It's like, are you serious? So we've got a lot to teach this world. Because there is a ton of unawareness. Love you guys. Till the next video, we'll see you soon. Take care of yourselves.